In the opening of his essay, Orwell establishes his view of the English language as an instrument. This is arguably one of the most fundamental concepts for the essay, yet the symbol is not one that he returns to or directly develops. How language works as an instrument, or what kind of instrument it is, seems a vital question to consider. An instrument may easily be reduced to a fixed or concrete image of a tool or a single-use device, but for language, it might seem more logical to imagine it as something flexible or indeed musical. This view would also be consistent with Orwell's discussion of the possibility of manipulating language as well as its discordant, ugly, or persuasive resonance. Reconsidering and developing his meaning of the concept instrument feels necessary for a full appreciation of the essay that follows. Related to this is the idea that Orwell, of course, dismisses. The language is a natural growth, whose apparent decline is natural and thus inevitable. The implicit assumption at the basis of that view is that evolution is degenerate or negative, that the experience of the past are better, higher, purer. Accordingly, archaic language would also be purer. Orwell's rejection of this is important to his argument, yet it is remarkably understandable, where a conservative critic of language might evaluate its corruption in relation to an idea of pure origin and evolutionary degeneration. Orwell's ideas of corruption is marked differently. As he lays out his analysis of corrupt language, the politics of his topic become apparent. The connection between thought and language is the place where he focuses. His argument isn't that there is some correct or pure form of language the writers should use. It is that they need to have full agency in the way that they use language. He shows ways that language is produced seemingly without the writers thinking about how or why they are using it. That disconnection is how language becomes corrupted. Political writers unthinkably repeat familiar patterns, use set phrases, and make their language sound a certain way rather than use language to deliver a specific intended meaning. He illustrates a process of mimicking or something essentially analogous to baby talk. When writers use dead metaphors, verbal false limbs, pretentious diction, or meaningless words, they seem to do so because they are playing at meaning something rather than they actually meaning it. Corruption happens here when the connection between language and meaning is broken. Orwell's list of habits to avoid is not intended to be comprehensive, yet it certainly isn't arbitrary. The selected example he provides reveal aspects of his own political position. It is not by accident that Orwell uses toe the line as an example of a dying metaphor. This specific example is politically charged one, most commonly a reference to those who unthinkingly conform to a party line. Orwell thus uses an example of a dead metaphor that's intended to refer to the very behavior he despises. His essay is at once a critique of those who toe the line and those who use terms like toe the line. With this example, he simultaneously hints at the kind of politics he opposes, while showing the way that mindless writing is connected to the kind of politics. On the top of this, he also subtly demonstrates his ability to use new language. Never once, while analyzing the political writers he despises, does he say that he can't stand those who simply toe the line. His issue with pretentious diction reveals more of his politics by its very name. Throughout the essay, we come to understand that Orwell is opposed to the politics of pretentiousness in general. He is against the dishonesty of performing relevance, importance, or complexity where actual relevance, importance, complexity doesn't exist. But his critique of pretentious diction also seems a thinly veiled critique of imperialist diction. As he says, one of the main effects of the pretentious diction is to glorify war. One thing that he is certainly politically opposed to here is the dressing up of the violence of colonialism. A very important aspect of his political irony is revealed in his discussion of meaningless words. It is not by coincidence that his example of meaningless words are two of the most weighted political words in modern history: fascism and democracy. To call these meaningless words may mean like pure irony. But this tone is essential to Orwell politics. He questions the sincerity of other political writers, arguing that their terms are simply meaningless.